like that at age 58. So I want to get that out the way first. But I wanted to get to a bigger point. Because the time comes, somewhat pun intended, for us to take the gloves off when it comes to Jake Paul. Now, unlike people who worked with me, unlike people who are friends and colleagues, what have you, I didn't find it funny.
It's kind of weird because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank.
That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him.
Yes.
He recognizes that he's too big for him.
Sports analyst Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when discussing Jake Paul's decision to face Gervonta Tank Davis. According to Smith, the fight makes little sense from a competitive standpoint. He argued that Jake is simply too big, too heavy, and too physically dominant for a much smaller opponent like Davis. In his view, Paul continues to pick fights that look good on paper but fail to test his real boxing skills. Smith criticized Jake for constructing a career built on spectacle rather than substance, explaining that these matchups are often one-sided and lack real danger for him.
That was Mike Tyson. Now you're going into the ring against a cat that's 228. He's a young lion, and no matter what questions may exist about Jake Paul and his ability to box real boxers, because we haven't really seen that yet from him, we don't question his power. We know he's got power.
Stephen A. Smith later asked Gervonta Davis's coach a pointed question: who does he believe truly deserves to share the ring with Tank next? Without hesitation, the coach made it clear that anyone who has spoken publicly against Davis should be first in line. He named fighters like Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, both of whom have questioned Davis's ability and resume. For the coach, it's not just about rivalry, it's about respect and accountability. He said these men need to step into the ring and feel firsthand the kind of power Tank delivers. This, he added, isn't simply about revenge for their words, it's about silencing doubters and restoring order in the sport. In his view, it's time for the critics to stop talking from the sidelines and face the reality of Davis's dominance inside the ropes.
Who do you want to see? You, as a guy that's in his trainer, that's like a father figure to him, you're training him all the time, you know him, both y'all from the streets of Baltimore the whole bit. Who do you want to see Tank fight?
I want him to get all of them that ran their mouth.
Give me the names. I need names, Calvin. I need names.
You already know. We went down to, we working on the big four. It was Garcia, that's the first one. Roma, I hope we get him soon. Shakur, he's going to get it. He know he's going to get it. It's just Bob is in charge of that. You know what I'm saying? Bob know what he's doing over there. You can't tell Bob how to run his game because he's like a vet at this. He's been doing it for so many years. That's going to happen. All the fights that we'll want, they have no choice. They're going to take the fight when it's time to take the fight. It's just right now, who's going to take the fight? That's the question.
Comedian and boxing enthusiast Aries Spears offered a brutally honest yet fascinating take on the entire situation. To him, this upcoming bout feels more like a carefully staged performance than a legitimate sporting contest. He described it as a circus, a show built to entertain more than to prove anything about skill. Still, Spears didn't hide his faith in Gervonta Davis's ability, predicting that Tank would likely end the fight early, possibly with a devastating knockout by the third round. What's interesting is the duality in Spears' opinion. While he mocked the fight's spectacle, he also praised Tank's precision and destructive finishing power. His commentary perfectly captures the mood among fans, a mixture of disbelief and fascination. To many, this fight is entertainment wrapped around pure talent, where even critics can't deny that Davis might end it with a statement-making knockout before it truly begins.
Next fight that's coming up is Tank Davis versus Jake Paul.
Oh, this is such a circus.
Yeah. Look, according to BetOnline.ag, Gervonta Davis is favored -240, Jake Paul's +190. So more than twice the odds for Davis. Davis is a lot smaller, but he's a real serious fighter.
I'm predicting a third round knockout.
Ooh. Third round knockout.
He's out of there. Listen, I don't know what's the bigger joke, that fight or Tyson versus Floyd Mayweather.
We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, this is honestly just disappointing. As a boxing fan, to just keep seeing these circuses happen over and over again.
I don't know if the rumor's true, but I heard Floyd was talking about coming out of retirement to fight Crawford. Now that's got some panache to it.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
but
it would be.
I think Floyd will end up taking a loss.
Finally.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He'd mess up that record.
Yeah. And I would respect him for it because we know how much he's tried to protect the record. Take the risk. This is what great fighters are supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's interesting because people were saying that Terrence Crawford should retire because he's, 43-0 at this point?
Okay.
He's 37 years old. I personally don't think
But he still got the goods, though.
Oh, he's got the goods.
Yeah, he still got the goods.
Because Canelo was a monster. Had been dominating for a while.
Right.
And he had only had 2 losses, one of which was Mayweather, very early in his career. But this whole Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis thing, just because Gervonta was supposed to fight Roach. There was supposed to be a rematch because it was, I believe, a draw last time.
Yeah.
So you go and fight Jake Paul instead? I'm sure it's a much bigger bag. I'm sure it's a much bigger bag.
And clearly that's what it's about. It's the bag, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty soon they're going to have Denzel Washington fighting somebody. They're going to start putting old men. I mean, they're already putting old men in the ring.
As long as before the fight, Denzel looks at his watch and goes, 16 seconds. I'm with it.
Stephen A. Smith, known for his fiery commentary, went deeper into his thoughts about boxing's current direction. He expressed frustration over the sports obsession with spectacle-driven events that prioritize hype over history. Smith said Gervonta Davis should focus on meaningful fights, contests that push him mentally and physically, rather than these exhibition-style matchups that add little to his legacy. He specifically mentioned a rematch with Ryan Garcia, calling it unfinished business, and also pointed to Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson as real contenders who could truly test Tank's greatness. Smith's point was clear: fans deserve fights that matter, fights that remind the world why boxing is called the sweet science. He believes these are the kinds of challenges that build a champion's legend and restore the sport's integrity.
To me personally, I want to see him fight a Garcia again. I want to see him fight a Teofimo Lopez, somebody like that that's got some power, somebody that has the potential to inflict some pain upon him, because I don't know if anybody can do it. And I've totally lost it with David Haney. After what I saw Ryan Garcia do to him, even though Ryan Garcia was a bit bulked up.
A growing number of boxing commentators are now openly criticizing Jake Paul's approach to his career. They argue that his fight announcements follow the same predictable pattern, choosing opponents who guarantee viral moments but not competitive intrigue. Experts point out that Jake's matchmaking seems designed more for headlines, YouTube clips, and social media attention than for genuine boxing progression. They note that he consistently avoids fighters with equal experience, comparable weight, or true technical skill. While his events draw millions of viewers, many purists feel that this kind of show business boxing sacrifices authenticity. The flashy marketing, scripted rivalries, and spectacle-driven build-ups may generate massive revenue, but they overshadow the sport itself. As one critic put it, Jake Paul may be the perfect entertainer, but he's still far from being a true professional contender.
Performance. Jake Paul won the fight, but yeah, that was that. This time, Jake Paul is to take on Tank Davis. He was recently in the news for being arrested for a domestic violence incident involving one of his kids' mother. He was alleged to have slapped her about the place. The charges were later dropped, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was when he was last in the news. What is interesting is just a couple of months ago, Tank Davis was saying openly that he'd lost his passion for boxing and that he wanted time away from the sport. There was speculation that he might even retire, as he was experiencing extreme mental fatigue from boxing, depression, and there were mental health concerns over him. However, I guess the opportunity to earn a truck full of money, fighting a completely worthless exhibition fight against Jake Paul, was enough to make him change his mind about boxing. Funny that, isn't it? But you know what, I'm not even going to waste your time or mine critiquing this utter nonsense. Suffice to say that this so-called fight we're talking about is an exhibition, and it pits Jake Paul, who is a cruiserweight, by the way, weighs in excess of 200 pounds, and Tank Davis, who is, he was the WBA lightweight champion, who weighs in at about 135 pounds when he fights. So that's a disparity of some 65 pounds. In old money, that's about 4.5 stone. There's also a significant difference in height. Jake Paul is roughly, 6'1", 2". Gervonta Davis is 5'5" at best. So, you know, there's a height disparity there of some 8 inches. And once again, this is Jake Paul showing total disrespect to boxing.
Analysts are increasingly suggesting that Gervonta Davis's recent career decisions are being guided more by profit than legacy. They believe his team is prioritizing financially explosive matchups over meaningful title fights that could solidify his standing in boxing history. The planned bout with Jake Paul, in their eyes, is a prime example of this trend. It reflects a larger shift in modern boxing where business often outweighs competitive value. Davis's reputation for highlight reel knockouts ensures massive pay-per-view numbers, and pairing him with a YouTube megastar like Jake Paul only multiplies that financial appeal. However, traditional boxing fans see this as a troubling sign of the times. To them, it's proof that even elite fighters are now chasing money first, legacy second. As one analyst bluntly said, Tank's skill is elite, but lately, his motivation looks more about paychecks than proving greatness.
Look at how Tank started acting after he made $40 million with Ryan. When he make another $40+ million with Jake,
he's gonna go make $40 million fighting Jake Paul, and then he's gonna come back and fight Lamont Rowe for what? He's gonna come back and fight Shakur Stevenson for what? He's not gonna fight none of those guys.
No, the only way he fight any of them guys, Turkey gonna have to hit him with the Crawford money. Cause that's the thing, you do this for a reason, bro. Like, I get it, you want him to be competitive, but his goal is money. He made 40 with Ryan plus everything in between. Now he get this 40, 50 million plus. He don't even gotta fight no more. So now if you want him to fight Shakur, give me that Canelo money.
Jeff Mayweather, a respected veteran of the sport, voiced serious concern about the fairness of this matchup. His main issue lies in the glaring physical imbalance between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Jeff explained that boxing has weight divisions for a reason, to protect fighters from exactly this kind of mismatch. Jake, with his naturally larger frame, reach, and power, has an undeniable physical edge. Even though Davis possesses superior skills and experience, Mayweather believes the size disparity makes the contest inherently unfair. He called the fight a marketing move, not a sporting one, warning that such mismatches damage the credibility of boxing as a disciplined athletic craft. For him, this isn't just about who wins, it's a test of how far promoters are willing to bend the rules for money.
It's kind of weird, because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank. And I mean, but with it being a exhibition, it makes sense. It's fine. He got a big name that he's going to be fighting. But I mean, it really makes no sense because he's going to be weighing over 200 and some pounds. Tank's going to probably be weighing maybe at the most 147, 150. So I don't even understand why the fight is happening.
Former world champion Carl Froch echoed similar frustration, calling the matchup ridiculous. Froch pointed out the absurd size gap, with Jake Paul likely to enter the ring weighing over 200 pounds, while Davis will struggle to exceed 150. Froch argued that Jake's pattern of picking smaller opponents is a deliberate strategy to maintain control and avoid true risk. He accused Jake of avoiding naturally bigger fighters like Anthony Joshua or legitimate heavyweights, instead targeting smaller men to create highlight moments without real danger. To Froch, the move exposes Jake's real motives. It's not about competition, it's about clicks, attention, and control. His blunt remarks highlight what many veterans feel, that boxing's long-standing traditions of fairness and pride are being replaced by celebrity showdowns where money trumps honor.
Fighting AJ, Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think, but the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Frotch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
MMA legend Daniel Cormier, known for his analytical insight across combat sports, also voiced strong disapproval of the upcoming fight. He believes it's not a serious sporting contest but a predictable spectacle. Cormier explained that the size and weight disparity won't just influence power, it affects stamina, endurance, and overall safety. In his view, this fight offers nothing meaningful to fans or fighters. It's a made-for-TV event designed to sell curiosity rather than competition. He warned that the sport risks losing its integrity by promoting fights that ignore fairness for the sake of buzz. His comments reflect a wider frustration shared across combat sports that boxing is drifting away from its proud, disciplined traditions and toward shallow publicity stunts.
Wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him.
Yes.
He recognizes that he's too big for him.
I'm wondering how this even came about. It can't be that Gervonta Davis needs money. That can't be the reason why
he's
he's
been a world
taking
champion so recently. How can he be broke?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he doing this for money? And then why and how is even Jake Paul doing this when no one respects it? Like, I can't think of anybody that respects this.
But Jake Paul has been able to carve out and make his own lane in boxing, and I've never seen anything like it, bro. He literally, I mean, we don't know what weight class he fights in any situation. We just don't know. He kind of makes his own rules.
He makes his own rules.
And it seems like people are playing by those rules. I remember a couple weeks ago, the WBC and the Jose Sulaiman was very upset that he wasn't going to be able to put the belt on the winner at Canelo versus Crawford. That's a thing that's happened since the beginning of the time. Those guys are very powerful in boxing. But with Zuffa boxing, it was almost like that power was getting stripped away. They were very disappointed. But how can you take those sanctioning organizations seriously when they are sanctioning this?
That's my point. That's my point. That's why I think that this whole thing that we have, this boxing and this MMA argument and Zuffa getting into boxing, our argument is misplaced because things like this should not be happening. And the fact that boxing is allowing this to happen is an embarrassment to the sport.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I talked about this before. Like, I didn't know why they were fighting because, I mean, Gervonta Davis's last fight was at 136 pounds.
Observers have noted a deep irony in the entire controversy. While critics attack the fight for being meaningless, they also can't stop talking about it, which in turn boosts its popularity. Promoters, networks, and even rival fighters all benefit from the attention, whether positive or negative. Every rant, every debate, every heated argument online fuels more publicity, and that publicity translates into money. It's the modern paradox of boxing: outrage equals revenue. What fans call a mockery becomes the very engine that keeps the sport financially alive. The entire industry now thrives as much on controversy as it does on competition, and this fight is the perfect example.
Criticism for fighting Jake Paul, but yet at the same time, he is going to fight Jake Paul. Now, what I find interesting is how people on one hand are going to criticize it, but on the other hand, try to take advantage of it for their own profit. So Shakur Stevenson, definitely for press purposes, definitely for publicity purposes, offers to get in the training camp and spar for Jake Paul. Spar Jake Paul for the Tank fight. Now, why would he be doing this? It's called copycat crap. Because the last big fight that took place, which was Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, guess what happened? Jaron Ennis went and sparred Canelo Alvarez to help Canelo Alvarez prepare for Terrence Crawford. So, do I think that that is coincidental? No, I do not. I think that it is trying to have your cake and eat it too. You are trying to complain and say Gervonta Davis is not a real competitive fighter, that this is a sideshow, freak show fight, but yet you want your name associated with it and you want to participate in it for your own good gain. Let me assure you that when Terrence Crawford said in an interview that he wouldn't fight Jake Paul, that's not a serious fight, and then they said, well, would you fight Jake Paul for $200 million? And he said, I'd be fighting Jake Paul.
The larger conversation surrounding this event goes beyond the fighters themselves, it's about what boxing has become. Many believe this fight perfectly captures the sport's ongoing identity crisis. Jake Paul's rise has proven that fame and following can outweigh pedigree and hard-earned rank, while Davis's participation suggests that even elite champions are tempted by the spectacle. Critics argue that this evolution cheapens the purity of boxing, turning it into a circus of social media moments instead of a test of skill and courage. Supporters, however, see it as adaptation, a way to keep the sport relevant in the digital age. Regardless of opinion, one truth stands out: this matchup forces boxing to face its toughest question yet. Is it still about proving who's the best, or has it become a business where fame decides the fights?
£5, bearing in mind Tank Davis fights at 135. That's £60 size difference, and Tank often weighs in light at 133.5 pounds. You know, he's 5'5", he's not a big guy. Okay, let's be honest, he's tiny. I could literally put him in my pocket. You know, he's a pocket rocket, but he's small. Yes, I know, I went too far. Let's move on. Jake's been fighting a cruiserweight, over 200 pounds. You know, he's 6'1". He's just a bigger guy, you know, a different beast. This is what Jake does, love or hate him. He knows how to generate interest, get people talking. In his words, do the unthinkable. But guess what? People will tune in. What can I say? The guy's clever. He calls out AJ. The fight's looking likely. Everybody's outraged. Can't believe it. Then bang, he's fighting Tank. The man's half the size. He's done it again. Whether you like it or not, he's a marketing genius. He knows how to keep his name on your tongue. Everyone slated him for fighting Mike Tyson. I did too. He was fighting an old man with health problems. But guess what? I tuned in. And do you know why? Because curiosity killed the cat. And I wasn't alone. 100 million plus people tuned in.
That wraps up today's discussion, a fight that continues to blur the line between sport and show, between legacy and profit.